Welcome to the VMware Cloud PKS demo. In this video, I am going to show you how you can start to monitor your Kubernetes cluster and microservices using Prometheus. Prometheus is a powerful framework built to solve challenges of monitoring microservices unique to Kubernetes. For this demo, I have pre-deployed a cluster called Web Services. This is a very small development cluster with one master node and one worker node. And I'm going to use this cluster to deploy Prometheus. Now there are a few different ways to deploy Prometheus, and I'm going to leverage the Prometheus operator to perform the initial install. And I will leverage the custom resource definition as part of the Prometheus operator to deploy the full Prometheus stack, which includes the Alert Manager, Grafana for dashboarding, metric exporter, and a few other Prometheus components. Now let's get started. Let's log into the cluster, and let's take a look at the cluster size. And this is the definition of the development cluster: one master node and one worker node. So this matches our expectations. Now let's the first thing we do is let's add a repo for the core OS, and this is where our Prometheus operator will be installed from. So once the repo is added, let's create a namespace called monitoring, and we are going to create the operator in the monitoring namespace. Once the namespace is created, let's create the operator. So let's take a look. Yep, it is running. So now the operator is deployed. We're going to go ahead and leverage the custom resource definition of the operator to deploy the rest of the Prometheus stack, which includes the Alert Manager, Grafana, the external exporter, and the Cube metrics. Now I'm going to show you how you can access the Prometheus services. Now I'm going to show you in two different ways. The first way is more for your own handy lab use, and the second way is more like if you deploy in production, you have other people and they need to access the dashboard as well, right? So the first way is through a port forwarding rule using the Kubernetes CTL command, and the second way is deploying a load balancer in front of all the Prometheus pods, and then expose a IP address that's routable externally, and then having the load balancer redirect the traffic to the various internal IPs. So let's first take a look at the port status. Everything's running fine. Now let's redirect the traffic, the alert manager. So this is the port forward command. Basically, it's pointing against the namespace and pointing against the pod, and then with the port number. And once this is enabled, now you can just copy and paste this, which is the loopback address with the port number, and paste that into your browser. Here we have it. We have all the different type of alerts that's being registered. And let's look at how we can deploy a load balancer. To create a load balancer, I created this YAML file, and this is for demonstration purposes only. And it basically is, you have a selector that points to the Grafana pod, the label that matches the Grafana pod, and then you have your ports, and then the type is load balancer. Use the kubectl command against this load balancer. Will take a few minutes to create. Now let's check on the status of the load balancer to see if it's created already. And here is the IP address of the load balancer. And I'm going to copy and paste this address into the browser, just like what I have done in the past with port forwarding, and specify port 3000 after the URL. There are some dashboards that we can take a look at. For example, the cluster status, the deployments in this cluster. This is our namespace. As time goes on, obviously there's not much metric going on, but if you wait for an hour or so, there should be a lot more data for us to view. And this concludes our demo. I hope you find this demo to be very useful, and feel free to try this on your own VMware Cloud PKS cluster.